So this video is about iPad Pro 12.9 inch versus the Surface Pro X late 2020 refreshed version. Okay, so first let's start with the dimension. Okay, so let's start. So for the thickness, iPad Pro 12.9 inch is 6.4 millimeters thin, while the Surface Pro X is 7.3 millimeters. Okay, so the iPad Pro 12.9 inch is thinner. So for the memory, the Surface Pro X can have up to 18 or 16 gigabytes of LPDDR4X RAM, while Apple doesn't always mention how much RAM they have. But so with the 2 terabyte option you get 16 gigs of RAM, and with the 128 gigabyte option you get 8 gigs of RAM. Right now my laptop and my desktop are both currently in depression. Alright, so that's that. And for the displays, obviously it's what we think it is. Now, actually, I think that the iPad has got a way better display, and that's true. So, I'm just still gonna point it out anyways. So, the Surface Pro X is 13-inch pixel sense display. Resolution is 2880 into 1920, 26 pixels per inch. Aspect ratio is 3:2. While the iPad Pro is Liquid Retina XDR display, 12.9 inch, mini LED backlit multi technology, 2732 into 2048 pixels, alright, with 264 pixels per inch, with ProMotion technology, white color display, true tone display, finger, and all that stuff. So 600 nits of max brightness and 1000 nits max full brightness, 1600 nits peak brightness, and about 10 million to 1 contrast ratio. So clearly iPad Pro is the winner in the display. Now obviously in the processor, iPad has got the new Apple M1 chip, 8-core CPU with 4 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores, 8-core GPU, 16-core neural engine. So basically the Surface Pro X has Microsoft's own Microsoft SQ2, right? So over here there's no really comparing M1 and the SQ, because they both are like ARM based, both made by their own companies, so it will be hard to compare. But I'm just gonna say I think the M1 chip is better over here. Alright, so for the storages, the Surface Pro X has option of 128, 256 or 512 gigabytes, while the iPad Pro has option of 128, 256, 512 or 1 TB or even 2 terabytes of storage, which is awesome. So now this is where a place the Surface Pro X has an advantage. It has 2 USB-C ports, while the iPad Pro just has one USB-C port, which is a Thunderbolt one, right? So, and that's that. The battery life on the Surface Pro X is said to be about, Microsoft says, about 15 hours of typical device usage, while the iPad Pro has about up to 10 hours of surfing the web on Wi-Fi or watching video, or up to 9 hours of surfing the web using a cellular data work on the Wi-Fi plus cellular model. Okay, so basically this is Team Surface versus Team Apple, Team White versus Team White's Apple. Microsoft's, what color? I'm just gonna ignore it. I ever said that and move ahead. Wow, I should be ashamed. What color is Microsoft? Just, do I tell silver too, or do I tell black, or yeah, or whatever. Or I'm just gonna say orange, you know, because like if you order an Office product key, it's gonna have written office in white in an orange box, so I'm gonna say orange, right? So yeah, video recording. Well, that's the thing. Right, that's the thing, right? So iPad Pro 4K recording at 24, 25, 30, or 60 FPS, right? And the Surface Pro X has 1080p Full HD video, 10 megapixel rear facing autofocus camera with 1080p HD and 4K video. Alright, all that. Basically, that's all. And the iPad Pro's got a true depth camera, which is basically none other than the selfie camera. Okay, so we both know that. Let's just compare the selfie cameras. So over here, the Surface Pro X has a selfie camera of 5 megapixel, which has 1080p Full HD video, right? And the iPad Pro rather has a 12 megapixel camera, 12 megapixel depth camera with 1080p HD video recording at 25, 30, or 60 FPS. Yes, and that's that. So obviously, iPad Pro is the winner here in terms of almost everything. But if you want a true laptop experience, since the Surface has two USB-C ports, which is not much, but at least more than the iPad, you should go for the Surface Pro X. But if you're just that guy who doesn't care about the ports and is gonna do everything wirelessly and is basically just gonna use the iPad for, let's say, emailing or like conferences, and you probably won't need the Surface Pro X, you'll need the iPad Pro because better. But the thing is, iPad Pro has also got 5G. Now that this has 5G, I'm pretty sure in a few months we're gonna see a lot of other tablets with 5G, right? That's just how it goes. And yep, that's that. Now, what I'm gonna say is that the iPad Pro is obviously the better one in performance here, because I think that the M1 chip is really powerful, right? It's Apple's own. So obviously M1 being the more powerful one here, and they both have the same amount of RAM, and iPadOS and iOS are kind of known for utilizing the RAM more properly. I mean, the 3 GB iPhone SE could beat out the Samsung S20 Ultra, which apparently had 12 gigabytes of RAM. So yeah. So since that proves that, because of the iPad iOS 14 and the M1 chip, I'm pretty sure you're gonna get the performance of a MacBook Pro enhanced, because iPadOS, right? Using that software properly, utilizing RAM and all that. So yeah. So basically, see, if you didn't watch my iPad Pro video, which I made last year, it's basically the same thing. The hardware is better than any laptop out there, no doubt about it. It's more powerful than almost every laptop out there, no doubt about that too. But is it ready to replace the laptop? No. Basically, that thing to still install apps from the web is not there. And I never think that it's gonna even be there, right? But hey, in Apple's defense, App Store is kind of cool and does have a lot of options. But if you still need to replace your laptop, you need to have options to download stuff from the web. And by download stuff from the web, I don't mean documents from the web, I mean apps from the web. Right? And if that is over, plus if it has more than one USB-C, now obviously making that one USB-C port Thunderbolt has taken one more step in the right, replacing the computer direction. But still, if there was just one more standard USB-C port, I would say that this thing is ready to replace a laptop. It's already more powerful, has the best hardware. Price is fine. I mean, starts 72K is fine. I mean, a good laptop costs about that or more than that, and you get that amazing hardware. So yeah, if that was true, if having one USB-C, two USB-C ports, then I'd say that the iPad Pro has already replaced the laptop. Okay, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Tech Expense, the Tech Savvy.